on the Bobble Podcast, episode 129. I'm your host, Basa J. Wait, and with me is my co-host, Yuki Lee Bender. Today, we're going to be talking about our meta predictions for Calling Seattle. We're going to be talking about the Compendium spoilers that came out during Worlds and the Slippy Armory deck spoilers that came out a couple of days ago. We're recording, this is Tuesday, right before Calling Seattle, December 9th, so we don't have that many Compendium spoilers, but there were some interesting cards, so we'll start talking about that first. Before we move into our main topic, how's your testing been for Calling Seattle, or have you been testing for Calling Seattle?
Yeah, I actually have been just kind of within the last 3-4 days. I've been working on Syndra. I think I'm just going to take Syndra to Seattle. I think that deck is still good. I know it didn't have the greatest win rate at Philadelphia, despite winning Worlds, and it also did not have the greatest win rate in Valencia. But I was spending some time on Marionette. I don't know. I don't like that deck very much. It's just like not really my thing. I think it's very powerful, but it's not really my thing. And when I play Syndra, deck just feels good. And I think the deck is like, honestly, I think the deck is still good. So I'm kind of like, maybe the data is just like noise. Maybe it's what people are playing. Maybe it's people's lists not adapting. But yeah, I think Syndra is still a really good choice. So I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, that's basically been my testing. What about you? Have you been testing for Seattle, Jay?
I haven't been playing that many games, but definitely tuning my Huntsman deck. We had locals yesterday night, and I got to play Huntsman, and it felt pretty good, honestly. Like, the deck felt really, really good. There was, like, one game I lost where I ended up, like, arsenaling my pummel, and then I'm just, like, looking for a 2-cost, and I just miss a 2-cost for 4 turns straight, and I'm just like, okay, this doesn't usually happen, but I guess, I don't play that many 2-costs. I play, like, 8. And if I don't draw it, I guess I drew 3 codexes back to back to back in with Pummel and Arsenal, so I got maximum punished. I'm just like, do I have to reconsider this Pummel in my deck?
Yeah, that is always the problem. I remember this is like such a new problem of like you arsenal the react, and it's like, no, I drew the codex.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, when you draw the codex with the reaction in your arsenal, I'm just like, oh, like this codex, I don't want to like block with it. I don't, if I pitch it and attack with a dagger, it converts for 1. I don't have the 2-cost, which means that I can't even just like pitch it to play a 2-cost, right? Like, it's like, the problem is I don't have a costed card in my hand.
Yeah, definitely.
No way to use codex, and it's just like, no, I lose this game. Makes me reconsider want to play Pummel, but then at the same time, that card's Pummel's too good.
I remember seeing some math on this type of stuff, but I don't remember it. I remember there's like just Tao Tao. I remember Tao Tao had a useful heuristic about finding a copy of a card based on like how many cards in deck you have left. So then it's like less about like if you should include Pummel, but more like if I arsenal Pummel, how likely am I to draw a 2-cost, and how likely am I to draw. Actually, it's not really helpful for that. I guess it's helpful for how likely am I to draw a codex.
I think, I'll be very honest, that game I just got really unlucky because like 18 cards in my graveyard, I think, and then I drew no 2-cost for four turns straight. So like, it's just an anomaly that I didn't see a 2-cost in the top like 35 cards in my deck or so, and it's like, it happens. I'm like, not that upset. It's just like, it was against Lucas, and he was playing Lyath of all decks, and I'm just like, we wanted to see what the matchup is like. Wow, my turn is converting for like 4 points. I'm doing like 4-card 4s every turn. I feel like this isn't really testing anything.
Huntsman thing sometimes, I suppose.
Yeah, 4 turns in a row of like dagger, dagger, 1 with bonds of attractions.
Yeah.
You wanna do your Patreon shout out, and then we can talk about the meta for Calling Seattle?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks to all of our patrons who give back. I know it's like holiday season, lots of stuff coming up. So we really appreciate people who are able to give back to the show. And even if you're not able to give back to the show and you're just a listener, we appreciate you tuning in each week and supporting the show that way. It really means a lot to us, and it lets us keep doing what we've been doing. On the Patreon side, I just recently released the Syndra Worlds deck with sideboard guide. So that's up there. And it also has like a short, like 1.5 page article kind of describing the changes and why. And there's also a Lexi Silver Age deck that I just released, I think, yesterday. And it just like has a deck list. It has a very rough sideboard. There's so many matchups in Sage. There's more matchups I haven't played than have played. So it's very like, here's how you can board against aggro. Here's how you can board against midrange. Here's how you can board against like Guardian. And I think there's like a chain matchup in there because I've actually played the chain matchup a bit. But yeah, it's like kind of like a rough draft on Lexi for now. As the meta shifts, I'm sure the deck will shift, but it does kind of go into like card choices, arsenal priority, what the deck's trying to do. And there's a pretty lengthy article attached to that. So if you're interested in any of that, you can check us out on patreon.com/onthebauble. And if you want to buy singles, you can look at invasioncnc.ca for singles. They're pretty much one of the largest singles vendors in all of North America. And they also, in all of Canada. So especially for you Canadians, great place to shop for singles. And even if you're an American, you might want to check them out. And if you want to buy from them, you can use code YLB5 for 5% off in your cart on all your singles. And that also helps them know that you came to them through the show and help support us. So yeah, if you want to check them out, feel free to do that.
Okay, so we're not going to be taking too much time talking about Calling Seattle, but I think this is going to be an interesting topic of what do you think the meta game is going to look like for Calling Seattle? We just came in from the last calling where we like saw a drastic drop off of both Verdance and Syndra. Gravy's found a resurgence. Do you think that trend's going to continue and then we're going to see a shift in the meta game?
Yeah, I think it will continue. I expect Syndra to move down a little bit. Verdance probably to continue down a little bit, but not too much. I think that deck's still powerful, and I think even just amongst the people I know, there's quite a people just bringing Verdance because they like Verdance. That's the deck they've been playing. They have a bunch of experience on the deck, and we kind of have this effect in general right now where it's after PQs, it's after Worlds, it's kind of a little bit of a lame deck format. And in addition to that, we have a ban list coming up right after Calling Seattle. So I think for a lot of people, investing time and especially money into a new deck is like a little bit tricky. So I think some people are going to be like, I think there will be meta shifts, but I think they'll maybe be a little smaller than at some other times of the year, just because, I don't know, holiday season, end of the meta, and BNR coming up. So I do think we'll see Verdance come down. I think we'll see more Marionettes as Verdance comes down and to target Syndra, and the deck's been doing really well. I think we'll see more Gravies in response to Syndra probably losing meta share and Marionette gaining meta share. It's a great matchup for Gravy. And I still think that Syndra will probably be most repped. I think it's probably like Syndra, Gravy, Mario is my guess. Or maybe Syndra, Mario, Gravy.
Why do you think Verdance has dropped down in popularity? Like, I feel like that deck was insanely strong, and what changed in the metagame that made Verdance kind of like fall off from this like the top 3 decks now?
I think there's like a few things. I think one thing is Syndra, I think, was always a close matchup. I think recently, as Syndras have learned the matchup a little bit more, it's been skewing a little bit slightly Syndra favored. Whereas before, I think it was like very 50-50. So that definitely hurts. Gravy has sort of been making a bit of a comeback. That matchup is still not good. Acilio has been more in the meta. That matchup's also not good. And we've also seen Prism come back a little bit. And well, sort of. Prism was like a big thing around Worlds. I feel like she's maybe falling off a little bit again, but Prism's also bad for Verdance. So I think it's just sort of like, if you're not very good into Gravy and Acilio, Syndra's slightly unfavored, and there's like also another A-tier deck in Prism that's not good for you. It's just like a few too many bad matchups. So the deck's still really powerful, and is really favored into a lot of the other, like, I don't know, other A and B tier decks that we haven't talked about. But the problem is, I think as we gone later into the meta, there's less and less of those decks because they've been kind of thoroughly pushed out by Verdance. And then there's more decks that either have a reasonable matchup into you, or are slightly favored to very favored into you.
I see. I see. That makes sense. That makes sense. I guess the I guess the resurgence of gravy bones kind of is a big deal, and this might mean that some decks that are better into gravy bones might start to rise back up again, right? Like someone like Kasai seems really good into gravy.
Definitely, yeah. And I think we haven't really we've had like shifting top decks and kind of like a top three in all of this, but I feel like there's like a bit of a triangle emerging in a way that there wasn't in the past, where I think Marionette has a solid Syndra matchup, Syndra has a solid Gravy matchup, and Gravy has a very good Marionette matchup. So I think if those are the top three decks, they actually form a little bit of a triangle. Whereas I think that like the Syndra Verdance Gravy triangle was like a lot closer, and probably part of why Gravy wasn't so good was like your Syndra matchup was just like kind of tough. Whereas like now that Syndra has a real predator, it's like, and you have like a very good matchup into the deck that preys on Syndra, it's like a lot more even.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. You're still bringing Syndra to the event. Are you not worried about people trying to target you with Marionette or something like that?
I think it's okay. I think that matchup is like, I think it's fine. I feel pretty confident in the matchup, honestly. I think you can, I don't know. I think Syndra can tech for the matchup if she wants to. I think there's also just like playstyle adaptations. Basically, like, I think Marionette's like a really punishing deck to play against, where if you make a mistake, you just get extremely blown out for it. And I think that just like knowing when to block, which is usually just mostly the disruption, and not making unforced errors into Marionette gets you quite a few points. And then I think if you like have a few D-reacts for the matchup, it helps as well. So I think there's like definitely stuff you can do for the matchup. And I think that like the die roll matters quite a bit. So like I think basically my current impression of that matchup is whoever's going second has a pretty big edge. And otherwise it is like overall, I think kind of close. Although I think if you're like a good Marionette, you can probably beat up a lot of not very good Syndras. Or like, I shouldn't say like not very good, but if you're like a very strong Marionette, you can probably beat up a lot of like average to slightly above average Syndras.
That makes sense. That makes sense. It is kind of tricky to block Marionette, and if you do make a wrong blocking decision, it could really blow you up. So
Yeah, there's like some of the like Black Widow, like when he's flipped onto number one, the banish a card from hand, you can just like you make bad blocks. You do like a partial block and then they go over and then they strip a card and then you get like flicked on Kiss of Death or whatever, and the game's just like super over. Whereas like sometimes in those spots you just go, this is a spot where like I'm allowed to fold or like mostly fold the hand, and you can save a lot of pain. So I think there's like a lot of stuff like that. And there's also spots where you're just like not supposed to block. Like they give you a mass trigger, they do a bunch of stuff and they start with Mark of the Black Widow, and it's just like, I don't know, like I can try and cover this, but like if you have 5 cards, I just have to believe you. Like there's a reason you took all that damage, and if I try to fight over this, I'm gonna like lose cards to blocking. I'm gonna maybe lose cards to the Black Widow, and you're probably gonna like go around it and I don't know, do something else really gross on the turn. So I think that there's like a lot of identifying when to block and also identifying when you just can't fight them on it, because sometimes it's just like their wheel of options is too big, and unless you're like holding, you know, you draw like 2 shelters or whatever, unless it's like that, it's like really hard to reasonably block against them.
I think the biggest tip that I have to give to just the general public about assassins in general is just because they throw an on hit, you don't have to block it. And sometimes the most annoying thing for an assassin player is you send them the leave no witness or just a piece of disruption and they just go, okay, and like not do anything is like the worst case scenario for you sometimes.
Yeah. And against Marionette, like the thing about sometimes eating the disruption is you also get unmarked, and them marking you is like sometimes pretty free, but it's often not. And like especially if they're like off clave or something, it's like, okay, like I'll give you this Black Widow, I lose a card, you get your 4 damage, like that's a really good card, but also like how are you going to mark me again, and now a lot of your other cards are worse, and like so I get like a little bit of extra value back if you like draw a saver and don't have your clave or whatever, is like an example of the type of decision making that can come up. But it's like it's tough because it's like really contextual, right? Like it really depends, like how many cards do they have, how many cards do you have, how do you have a D-react to help you block, what are the life totals, blah blah blah. There's like so many different factors. I think it just like is a really hard deck to play against. But I also feel like with enough reps, I feel not favored on the Syndra side. I'm probably maybe a little unfavored, but it feels very reasonable to me. I feel it just feels very close.
So it's like, yeah, I get you, I get you. I guess one last card I want to talk about for this deck is, what do you think about the inclusion of like Codex of Inertia? This is a card that's kind of I've been hearing people talk about that, is saying that makes this matchup really good. Do you think this card is actually really good in the matchup, or do you think this is like maybe a little bit of a I got you because you didn't really know about it type of thing?
I think Codex of Inertia is a really strong card. It's like one of my favorites. I played a lot of this card in Lexi before Warmonger's Diplomacy came out, so this is a card I'm really partial to, and it's part of why I started trying out the deck a little bit. I actually don't think it's at its best against Syndra. It's still a good card. Like it has a very high ceiling, even if all that it does is force them off Arsenal, and you get a card off the top of your deck that you can play, and then you ponder a card. That's pretty good. That's like a 2-for-1 that offers like, I guess, like disruption in air quotes, kind of. I think that Codex of Inertia is actually best against decks that have like a lot of air in them and a lot of bad blues, like a Verdance deck, for example, where if you get Codex of Inertia and they stick like Blue Autumn's Touch in your arsenal, or like maybe even worse, like Blue Arcane Twining, it does like 1 arcane damage. Just like you get a random card, but that card's not worth anything a lot of the time, and then you still have to discard, and then you're going to lose that card. So it's not even like you could necessarily get Crown of Providence value. So I think that the more air a deck has, the better it is. Whereas I think against a deck like Syndra, it's like, okay, you give me a random card off the top of my deck. It's like guaranteed to be a good card, and then I get to discard another card. You might like it's still good because it's a 2-for-1, assuming you can use the card that you get off the top of your deck and then make use of the ponder. Yeah, I think it has like a lot less value against a deck like Syndra, where she's like not afraid to get a random arsenal. Whereas like if you're a deck that doesn't want a random arsenal, like you're like a Guardian or something, and they just stick like Macho Grande in your arsenal, it's like, well, that's bad for me.
Oh yeah, that is pretty hard to play. Mostly under inertia token.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of times it's like your opponent discards a card and has an arsenal for you to target. You essentially draw a card that goes into your arsenal, assuming you can make use of it, and then you get a ponder. So the ceiling of the card is you 3-for-1 them, which is like ridiculous. It does have some awkwardness. Like if you draw it with Codex of Frailty, it's like basically always awkward unless you're an agent and you can discard one of them, then it kind of bails you out. Yeah, the card's really impressive. It's really good, but I think it's like best in like the Verdance matchup where they want to like park a D-react and you can kind of blow them up for that.
That makes sense. Anything else you want to talk about this current metagame before we move on to the Compendium of Race spoilers?
I'll just say that I actually like this meta. I feel like this is like maybe an unpopular take. I think a lot of people are kind of like a little tired of the meta. It's a little played out, and they're like, oh, there's another RTN season. And I like don't disagree. I'm curious to see what they do in the ban list, but I also just feel like this meta has been kind of interesting. Like we had like Syndra so clearly the top deck, and then Verdance so clearly the top deck, and now they've both kind of fallen off. And it's like Marionette has been the most winning deck recently. And there's just like a counter to Marionette out there. Like Gravy is just really good into Marionette. So like, is Gravy going to be the best deck again soon? Or we're going to like, I think the like week to week shifts and shifting best decks, and there's like a pretty large A tier. Like we've seen like Kasai win a battle harden. We've seen Dio in a bunch of top 8s. We've seen Acilio in a bunch of top 8s. Rhinar is a deck that's been popping up. Dory, I don't think has been top 8ing, but has a pretty good win rate. Prism has been around, made top 8 at Worlds. I think like Ira is like kind of a deck in the format. Like there's just kind of like a lot of reasonable decks right now. So I think that even though, I don't know, I just want to say that I actually like this meta. And even though I can understand being like tired of it and wanting something fresh, doesn't mean it's the worst format in the world. I think there's like a lot of people kind of looking for the next thing, and they're a little sick of it. And I think people get maybe more down on the format than is warranted. I feel like this is like just like one of the better meta games we've had in a long time. I know they said that in the dev talk, and from what I understand, some people were not so happy with that. But I actually just kind of agree. I think this meta is just like pretty good. We've seen some pretty good churn. There's a bunch of decks you can play. And I don't even think the evolution's done. Like I think if we in the hypothetical world we get no changes, I think we're still going to see maybe not like full meta shifts, not like the top 3 decks are going to change, but I think like which one's on top, which one you play week to week, what builds look like, what are the A tier heroes that are relevant, are all gonna slowly shift over time.
Yeah, I think you are right. I kind of agree with you on this part. It's this metagame's kind of nice. We didn't even see or talk about Marionette like what 3 weeks ago. Like it wasn't even part of any of our discussion, and then all of a sudden now, like that's kind of like our main topic when talking about the meta, right? For CC, and we didn't get any new cards, and we're gonna be talking about the Slippy Armory deck spoilers at the end of the episode. But like, that's not the reason why Marionette became playable. So like, the whole card pool was available a month and a half ago, but it just wasn't being played.
Yeah, absolutely. And even KO, I think like people, including me, saw the KO spoilers and was like, wow, this deck looks crazy. Look at all these new cards. It's like some people were like, this deck's gonna be broken. Then KO really underperformed and didn't do well. And people were like, okay, this deck sucks. And then at Worlds, the deck was just like right around 50% and put a copy into top 8. And like people have just like improved the deck enough that like it's probably not the best deck in the format, but it's just like a solid A tier deck that you can take and you can top 8 and you can probably even win an event with. It's just pretty good. And yeah, we've seen a lot of that in this meta game. There's definitely heroes you can't play. I think that's like always the case, that there's some heroes that are a little too pushed out to really be good enough. But all in all, I think there's actually just like a lot of decks in this format and a lot of kind of small shifts. So I think if you're somebody that likes following the meta, adapting, and being like, what is this week going to be about? What tech cards do I want? What are the matchups I expect to see and that I want points in? I think in that sense, this meta game is like really interesting. And I like those like small attention to detail. I think if you're really on top of all the meta shifts week to week and you're not just going what was played 2 weeks ago, you're going what is the right deck for this upcoming event given the past data. I think that's like the type of thinking and deck building that will really get rewarded in a meta like this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk about pen spoilers. This has been on our list to talk about for about a month now, but we just had other things to talk about first. Pen's not even coming out until what, February? So we still have 2 months until this set even comes out. And this set is huge still. I think it has about 200 cards. I think a bunch of reprints as well, but
Just like 380, I think.
380 cards?
Yeah, I believe so. It's the biggest fab set we've ever had.
Oh wow, that's crazy. I don't even know how to think about that. Like, oh, that's so many cards. That's so many cards that's introduced into the game. But even then,
I mean, like some of them are reprints, right? So it's not like 380 new cards, but it's still a huge set.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of. I have a list of a couple of cards that want to get reprinted that are like commons and rares that are just needs reprints. But yeah, like a lot of cards from Crew, a lot of cards from Everfest, and like some Arc cards that see play that are randomly annoying to find now. I'm talking about like the Ranger pumps at rare at red is like things that we need. Like Malrian Skies is a card that's like randomly hard to come by now. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of cards in the game right now that are rares, and I'm just like, ooh, I need, like, my friend asked for a Malrian Skies. Do I have it? Look through my stuff. I don't have enough for you, bro. I can't help you. And things like that happen a lot nowadays. So we really do need a reprint set for not the mythics, but actually like the random rares that commonly get played. Like, I'll be pretty happy if they just include like Snatch in the set.
That makes sense.
Let's talk about the actual spoiler cards. We're going to be using the February.net spoilers page for this. So if you guys are interested and want to follow along, you guys can just go to February.net And there's a spoilers tab on the top of the page, and if you click Compendium Rathe, it will go there, and then we'll also do the same thing for the Armory deck Arachne cards later in the episode.
Yeah, and we'll probably, at least for this episode, touch on all of the cards, but some of them we may spend more time on if we think they're good and interesting and lots to talk about, and some of them we might move past pretty quickly if there's not much there.
I think to start off with, we'll start off with Savage Claw. I think this might be a card that we won't spend too much time on.
Yeah.
So Savage Claw is a brute weapon, one-handed weapon. It attacks for 3. It is action, pay 2, tap it to attack. If a card with 6 or more power was pitched to attack with this, the attack gets +1.
I believe this is Reviled KO's signature weapon, which is maybe the most notable thing about it. This card is just much worse than Mandible Claw. Once KO Armed and Dangerous rotates, Mandible Claw will leave with him, so that is a consideration. But honestly, I feel like Brutes are kind of like, what weapon do I play? Because like we have like Ball Breaker, we have other cards that are similar to this as like a one-hander, and none of them are. They're all like they're okay, but they're just like way worse than Mandible Claw, and they're just like not that good. And I think Savage Claw is another like it's like very much like a Ball Breaker, like a 2 for 3 that could be a 2 for 4.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of just wish that this didn't tap to attack, and it was just like, if you gave it go again, you could attack with it again. I think that would be give it more legs, but this is just essentially once per turn attack claw that doesn't actually have a real upside to it. Yeah, I think we're done talking about this card.
Yep, not much to say. Next up is Magmatic Carapace. This is a Guardian equipment chest that blocks for 2. It's a rare. So the rares and commons notably are playable in Silver Age, and this set is sort of printed with Silver Age in mind. They said that they think that this set's really going to make Silver Age pop off. So yeah, whenever we have rare or common, we're looking not only at potentially CC, but also Silver Age, just as a note. So this is block 2. Whenever you play an aura, you may tap this and pay 1. If you do, create a Seismic Surge token. It also has Guard Well. So if you block with it, it goes to 0. So it blocks for 2 once, and then you can make Seismics by paying 1 when you play an aura. This is sort of like better tech plating for Pleiades, is kind of what I think this card is. You do miss out on a block, but Pleiades very often wants to play an aura on her opponent's turn so that she can tick it down, put the counter on like her what happens next or whatever, and then have the aura suspense go off and pump her attack on her own turn. And being able to pay into this on your opponent's turn is just like super, super powerful. You also get some really sweet play patterns where you can do like I play an aura on my turn, make a Seismic Surge. Next turn, I untap. Next turn, I play an aura on my opponent's turn, make a Seismic Surge, do the gameplay loop that we talked about, move a counter. And then on your turn, you're like, I have 2 Seismics now. I also have what happens next. I can play like Boulder Drop for free. So I think this card is just like really good in Pleiades. Even in CC, it's probably best in slot. And in Silver Age, yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, this is really good in Silver Age because I don't think there's that many good chest equipments in general, and this just blocking for 2 is comparable or just better than the current Guardian chest piece, which is the Civic. I don't know what it's called, but it's Civic something, and it gives them a Vigor token when you block with it. So that's a significant downside, and this doesn't have any downside when you block with it, and it still blocks for 2. So it'll be a good chest piece in Silver Age for sure, even if you can't use the ability.
Yeah. And yeah, so I think like in Pleiades, this gets a huge bump because you get to spend your extra resources that you usually have because of what happens next. And then in Silver Age, this is probably just good for basically every Guardian, unless they just make an even better Guardian chest for non-Pleiades Guardians. But yeah, card's very, very good.
Okay, so it's basically a Pleiades card.
I think so, yeah.
Next up, we have a Synapse Sparkcap. This is a Mechanologist equipment, and it's a base head. That's going to be important. And it blocks for 1. This has Battle Sworn and has action, tap it, banish an evil from your hand, create a Ponder token. This is a majestic, which means it is not playable in Sage. I think to start off this conversation, I am very disappointed that it's not a rare. I think if this card was rare, it might make Teklo Vossen kind of sweet. And they didn't do that, which makes me really sad.
Yeah, definitely. There is like a bit of an interesting. They had like a compendium of Rathe like magazine almost at Worlds that was pretty cool. And I think it was in that they mentioned there's going to be a lot of Teklo cards this set. Like they think that they've like really helped Teklo out. Supposedly, we'll see what that means. But it's possible that he's getting enough other support, and that's why they didn't make this rare. But I agree that like with the current Teklo card pool and what Teklo looks like right now, this seems like it could just be a rare. Cards like I think it's decent. I guess talking about CC, you probably play it. Battle Worn one base is just like pretty solid, and being able to banish an Evo from your hand and then essentially turn it into another card that hopefully you can use is like decent, but the action doesn't have go again. So I think that's kind of like the big downside. If this had go again, this card would be like quite crazy, I think. But it not having go again and you having some bad ponders just makes this. You probably play it. You might activate it sometimes, but I don't think it's like Teklo needs more than this to be good, I guess. But maybe this is like part of a bigger package.
No, this card is just best in slot no matter what, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
people play the Blade Break base equipment right now. That's where Teklo is. Like,
Doesn't he have Battle?
there is no Battle War base equipment. It doesn't exist. They have to just play the basic base equipment that like has no text on it right
No,
now.
no. He has it. He has adaptive alpha mold. It's modular Battle Worn one equipment.
No, but it's not a base.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What?
Adaptive Alpha Mode. It came out in Super Slam. It's Battle Worn 1, base equipment, modular. You can equip it to any zone. So I guess you can play like 3 of these. So, like, don't get me wrong. Like, this is an improvement over that. I don't think the activated ability is like a huge improvement.
I didn't even know adaptive alpha mold was a base actually.
I guess maybe you can only play 3 of them. So, like, this is your 4th Battle Worn 1 base equipment. I don't know. It's meaningful. It's just, yeah.
Okay. Now I'm just really confused why they printed this card. I was under the impression that there was no base blocking battle sworn equipment, and then now you mentioned that I'm like kind of down on this card.
Well, the adaptive alpha mold, you can only run 3 of them. So now I suppose you can run like this and 3 of them, and then you have 4 block before you have all your base equipment. So like it does matter, but yeah.
They gave 4 health to Tekla Vossen. Yay.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. We'll revisit it with all the rest of the Teklo support, but on its own, yeah, not super exciting.
Mm-hmm. I guess one note for this would be that you can if you're Tekla Vossen, you can play evos from banish. So banishing an evo from cost is like a pseudo +1.
Yeah, assuming you can use the ponder. It's tough that this takes your action. Is like the real cost to this.
Oh, I feel like if it didn't use the action point, this would just be
Yeah, it'd be pretty crazy.
yeah, it'd be kind of messed up. Okay, let's talk about the next card. This one is a rare. It's called Bolton Boots. Love the name. It's a ranger equipment legs. Unlucky, it's not a warrior equipment, and it blocks for 1. Attack reaction. Pay 1. Destroy this. Target arrow attack with power greater than its base gets go again and has battle worn. What is this for?
I mean, this is like Sage support for Ranger, right? It's block 1 boots that can give go again to an arrow. I think it's just pretty good. It depends like how red line your deck is. If your deck has like almost no blues, then 1 is a lot to pay. But being able to block 1 and then have go again is pretty good. Like Snaps is not legal in the format, so I think these are actually just pretty strong, and I kind of think they'll see play.
Okay. Do you think this card will see CC play for maybe someone like Marlin? Because like this is kind of interesting in Marlin, right? Where you can do some like big plays with like activate harpoon, attack with an big like a 2-cost arrow, Bolton boots it to give it go again, load a new harpoon and shoot it because you've already activated your harpoon thing. your cannon, it's a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. You probably need like a three of a kind or something to pull it off, but yeah, it's definitely doable. So yeah, maybe I could see this seeing CC play. Like Snaps was like both Lexi and Azalea pretty much exclusively played Snaps. Sometimes you play Perch Grapplers for the block two in certain matchups, but Snaps was like the main leg equipment. And Battle Worn one, pay one to get the go again. It's conditional is like a pretty reasonable trade off. And yeah, as you said in Marlin, it could give like base or cost two arrows go again, which Snaps couldn't do. So yeah, I could maybe see this seeing CC play as well. But yeah, I think it's like amazing in Sage and maybe CC playable.
Yeah, and I think as a no, we are talking about Snapdragons in Sage, and it's not legal in Sage, right? Like Snapdragons is banned.
Yeah, exactly. I meant like in CC, like Lexi and Azalea were playing Snaps. So I think that this effect is like pretty good.
Yeah, Marlin doesn't play one cost heroes, do they right now? I'm not sure.
Not for the most part.
Yeah, I think they're mostly two costs.
Yeah.
It will be interesting though. Like, I'm kind of curious if Bolton Boots make Marlin playable in CC. It kind of feels like it might. If you can shoot two harpoons in one turn cycle, that is kind of how the LL Marlin deck was like demolishing people, right? Like shooting two majestic harpoons is just like it's so unfair.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely powerful. I could see it. The card draw makes it a lot easier to do that in LL, but you do get some card draw in CC. You still have three of a kind, and that card is very good. So yeah, I can see spots where like it's just like pretty reasonable to be able to three of a kind and double harpoon in CC.
Fair enough. Okay, the next card we'll talk about is Grimoire of Felling Song. This is a majestic Runeblade equipment offhand, and it has the ability instant, pay a resource, destroy this, create a rune chant token. The first question is, do we have one-handed Runeblade equipment?
I think the main one in CC is the Vincent specialization, the flail. I forget what it's called. The pay one to attack for one on hit, make a rune chant weapon that Vincent has.
Oh, Flail of Agony is pay one life, I think, right?
Yeah, pay one life. Yeah. So I think this is like mostly a Vincent weapon. There's technically Scepter of Pain, but that's not legal in CC, and I don't know if it's legal in Sage. Actually, it might be. Regardless, you can't play this in Sage, so it doesn't super matter there. So there's not like a ton of Runeblade one hands, but to me, this just reads primarily as Vincent support, and I think it is very good Vincent support. Vincent just is a clunky deck. She can do some powerful things, but you don't hit exactly the right number of rune chants on a turn, you can't play out your rune gate, and that can just be super devastating. And just being able to like pay one, get a rune chant as an instant at like any point in the game is just going to smooth out. Well, like once at any point in the game is going to really smooth out the deck, I think, and open up some cool lines where maybe you can hit the like double, triple rune gate turn, whereas like you'd otherwise be off by a rune chant. This just helps you do that. And yeah, I think anybody who's played a bunch of Vincent understands how powerful a single rune chant is when you're trying to rune gate.
And it's not like you're losing too much, right? Like the current best in slot offhand is like the one that gives you an eloquence token, and yes, that kind of gives you plays in certain matchups, but like it's not like it was an insane card. It wasn't that useful in every matchup either.
Yeah, notably that card has blood debt, which is I think the thing that really holds it back. Like pay one, make an eloquence token would actually just be pretty strong. It having blood debt just means you have to be so careful with it, whereas this does not, and you just get to make a rune chant whenever you want. I think that like maybe the other one still sees play as AB. That probably is the case, but yeah, I expect this to be like the main offhand in Vincent going forward.
Honestly, we just talked about a bunch of heroes that currently don't see play, so I'm pretty happy with the current spoilers of buffing the current heroes that are, probably B tier or less right now.
Yeah. Next up is Trench of Watery Depths. This is a pirate equipment chest that blocks for one. It has Blade Break. And it says when this defends, you may pitch a blue card from your graveyard and you gain 3 resources in parentheses. So you do get the pitch for pitching it. Let's talk about Sage first. The main thing that I can think of this doing in Sage, because it has to be on your opponent's turn, since this is when you defend, is it casts Unmovable. So if you have unmovable, you can block with this, pitch a card, and then you have like your chest plus your unmovable blocks for like 8 or I guess 9 if it's from your arsenal.
Gross.
Yeah, seems really good. Is there anything else you can think of with this? I mean, I guess you can do like Oasis Respite, and like Ironhide would also work. But I think you're doing some kind of like defensive pay resources type play. Maybe you can also use it for rune chance against like Chain, although they have to be going like multiple attacks wide. But they just do that, so I can find a spot where you can do that. I think anytime you're getting to spend all 3 resources, this is like really strong.
Yeah, that is actually like it's kind of crazy how much value this generates if you can use all 3 resources.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like, I guess very loosely, this is like a 4-point chest, which is crazy. Like 4 points on a chest piece is just really good, especially by Sage standards. But honestly, even by CC standards, 4 points on a chest piece is like quite a lot.
I think the question is like, who in the pirate pool right now wants to even play unmovable?
Could potentially be sideboard, like you play this plus 2 unmovables for the Guardian matchup or something.
Okay, yeah, I can get behind that. I can get behind that. So who do we have? We have Marlin, Gravy, and Puffin?
It's tech for the Marlin Mirror.
Oh, it is tech for the Marlin Mirror. Does Puffin have instance or defense reaction they want to mainly play? No, I don't think so.
No, I mean she can play D-Reacts if you're mostly on the cog plan, but I'm not really sure what Sage Buffin decks look like right now, to be completely honest.
That's fair, that's fair. Oh, and I guess we have the Thief Pirate. It might be good in the Thief Pirate. Scurv, yeah, Scurv wants to play some, like, defense reactions and just be, like, 3 cost every turn. So, like, I can see it being just good in Scurv in general.
Yeah, perhaps. So yeah, I think this is a powerful piece of equipment. You got to figure out what you're doing with it, but it's definitely strong. CC, I think it has all the play patterns that we talked about, and I could actually just see this seeing play for certain matchups. The thing that I think is really strong with this in CC is quick dodge flexors. This pays for quick dodge. So basically, trench plus quick dodge is worth 7. So you could just block two of your equipment to block 3/2/2. That's pretty good. Like, but I wouldn't be surprised if Marlin runs this setup into Syndra, for example.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're so right. Holy, quick dodge plus this is just straight up more value than most chest plus legs equipment. That's crazy.
Yeah, like it's like a little trickier in Gravy because Dead Threads is a hell of a card, but like I would at least be interested in testing this plus quick dodge for a matchup like Syndra. I think it's like worth trying. I don't know if it's better than Dead Threads, maybe not, but it's very powerful. Like it's hard to understate how good this is.
Well, yeah, it's actually kind of insane. If you have a Wrath of Retribution turn, you have like Trench plus Quick Dodge. That Quick Dodge can block. Like I could see it. Like if you even pitch like an extra blue from your hand, it can block for like 12 on 1 leg piece. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of value. So I think Trench is like just actually a really strong card. Like maybe one of the stronger cards in all of the spoilers, which is like kind of funny because I don't think it reads so powerful the first time you look at it.
Yeah, that's fair. I actually didn't realize how powerful this card until you talked about it with me just now. In general, like I was just more thinking of like, wow, this card's really annoying for like the fatigue math that I usually have to worry about. Which is also true, like they get to put their big blue back into their deck.
Yeah, that too. It does put a card into your deck that is a blue, and that is probably going to be relevant some amount of the time. I guess hypothetically, if it's like your last card in deck, you can also fix a like saltwater swell or something. I think that'll be like pretty niche, but could come up.
Well, I'm just thinking like, you know, the pirate pool has the you need to pitch 2 blue cards matter stuff. I don't know what that mechanic is called, but you know, it's good in that too.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty impressed with Trench of Watery Depths. Okay. Next up, we have Elemental Strike. This is a red 0 cost attack action, elemental attack action. It attacks for 5 and blocks for 3. As an additional cost to play this, you can banish a card from your hand. If it's Earth, this gets +2. If it's Lightning, this gets Go Again. And if this is Ice, it gets Dominate. So basically, it's like all the modes on Starvo, but you have to banish a card from your hand to get it. So I don't think we have, well, yeah, if you have all 3 elements, you get 7 Go Again Dominate for 2 cards, which is very, very good. And if you can get like the Earth mode, it's like a Raging Onslaught, It is elemental, so it's not is notably not like earth or lightning or ice, which cards usually care about. I think that this card is actually like decent, and maybe we need to talk about the next card to really fully discuss this card.
Sure, then let's also talk about the next card as well, which is Colors of Aria. It's a 3 cost, 7 power elemental attack, and it blocks for 3. Notably, this card reads, while this card is face up in any zone, it's Earth, Ice, and Lightning. It's a 3 elemented card in every elemental deck, actually, which is kind of relevant.
Yep, and you can like decompose with this card, for example. You cannot fuse with this card because it won't be face up in a zone. You're revealing it, which is not face up in a zone. So that is relevant, but like you can decompose this card. So this is for like the Earth Heroes, for example. This is basically, for all intents and purposes, Red Autumn's Touch, unless you're like wanting to fuse a Bramble Spark, but Earth Heroes aren't fusing too much. And if you banish this card to Elemental Strike gets all the modes 7, go again, dominate. I could see this seeing play in like Verdance, for example. Like Verdance is already kind of playing Autumn's Touch. You can just play Colors of Aria as your Autumn's Touch instead. And then Elemental Strike, if you ever line it up, is like pretty strong. And the rest of the time it's a 2-card 7. I don't know if it's like quite good enough, but it's interesting.
Do you know the problem I have with Elemental Strike right now is that we already have E-Strike, and
Yeah.
Elemental Strike is actually just like a conditionally worse E-Strike in a lot of cases, in the sense of like E-Strike always has the safety valve of being like a 2-card 7, whereas like if you have Elemental Strike and they strand you with Elemental Strike, don't have an Earth card to banish, it's a 0 for 5, right? It's like a 2-card 5. And
That is true. I think like part of the calculus on this card has to be that getting an Earth card to banish is also potentially upside. Like you can Elemental Strike for 7, banish an Earth card, and then felling for 8 with your first decompose. So I think that is like another aspect of this card. So I see like lots of downsides. Like it's not Earth, it's not a big spell. Verdance is really tight on slots, but I can also see this just doing really powerful stuff. So I think it's like worth trying. It's I don't know. I'm not like so sold on it, but I could see it seeing play.
yeah, it's like one of those cards where I'm like, it'll probably see experimental play, and then I don't know if it'll make the final cut yet. I think that's where I'm at with it. One of the spots where I think this card might be interesting is also in Jarl, right? Because Jarl has the Earth Ice dual cards, and if you have Elemental Strike and these like a bunch of Earth cards you really don't care about, unlike in Verdance where the Tights are slot, Jarl is a little bit more flexible. And then if you play this card, you can actually now comfortably play Fellings, which is, I think, a pretty big upside.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So, yeah, I think this pair of cards is pretty interesting. Something that maybe is worth mentioning is Colors of Aria does not appear to be a cycle. It is a rare, but I think it only comes in red because Elemental Strike is 206. Colors of Aria is set code. Sorry, Elemental Strike's 205, Colors of Aria is 206, and then the next card is 207. So typically, if there's a cycle, they'd all be in a row. So we can pretty much say that Colors of Aria isn't a cycle. Which does affect some of the evaluation here too, right? Like if you could run red and blue Colors of Aria, Elemental Strike is like much better, but you can only run red.
Yeah, I think I might, if I'm playing like red blue, I might just be playing red yellow blue and playing the Elemental Strike. That might make it worth
Yeah,
it, where you're just like kind of likely to draw Elemental Strike with Colors or Aria, and the more likely you are to do that, the better that this combination gets, right? Like a 2-card
yeah,
7 dominate go again is definitely good enough.
yeah, exactly. When you do the thing, it's great, but you're limited to 3 of each, which is a little tough, and you have to draw. The Colors of Aria has to be in your hand. You can't like arsenal the Colors of Aria and wait for the Elemental Strike, notably. So that is like a real downside. I don't know if this is good enough, but when it's online, it's powerful, is worth looking at. And Colors of Aria being Red Autumn's Touch for Earth Heroes is big. I kind of don't expect either of these to see play in Ice or Lightning, though.
Before we move on, Colors of Aria is a rare, so it can see Sage play. Have you considered Colors of Aria in Lexi? If you flip it face up, you give them a Frostbite plus embodiment of lightning. That's kind of sick.
Yeah, 3 for 7, go again, give you a frostbite is kind of cool. My current Lexi deck plays like 4 blues, so I don't think it's going to play this card. But maybe a very different Lexi deck could play this card. Raging Onslaught with go again, give you a frostbite unconditionally is really good. So I don't know, maybe I hadn't considered that.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Next card, talk about Frosthaven Sheath. This is a 1-cost elemental defense reaction. The blocks for 5. It is a common, and it has the ability Ice Bond. If an ice card was pitched to play this, create a Frostbite token under the attacking hero's control. Okay, I don't know. It's fine.
I think this card's actually really good. Basically, I think this is good in the context of Sage Icelander, where you can pair this. Because currently we don't necessarily have like the best way to use resources on our opponent's turn. You can Crucible of Aetherweave to like buff your spell or whatever. But I think something like Ice Bolt and play Frosthaven Sheath to do like shoot you for 3, block for 5, make 2 frostbites as like a 3-card play is like actually just pretty good. Or if you have like a Aether Hail, you could buff your Crucible and get basically the same math. But I think that to me this reads as like a Sage Icelander card, and I think there it is pretty strong.
Okay. I might not be as sold. It having Ice Bond, meaning you have to pitch an ice card, is actually a significant downside.
Yeah, but okay. But this is the format that doesn't have 0 for 4 D reacts, and just I think like a 1 for 5 D react is already like decent.
I don't know. I'm a 1-cost D react is always it always has my radar. Like I play a lot of defensive deck, and it having a cost in the top right hand corner is like such a big downside. Like, yeah, in Icelander you play enough blues, so it probably doesn't matter, but it can still come up being like, oh, if this was like a 3-block, you win the game instead, right? Like it being a 1-cost means you have to pay it. You have to pay into it to play it. Like you have no option. Like if you draw this card, you have to pay into it to play it. Like there's no other way to use this card.
I hear you. It's definitely a significant downside, but I think the upside is pretty huge. So I don't know. I think that this card will see play in Icelander, at least in some matchups. I'm pretty excited about this card.
Okay, fair enough. You know what? If Icelander gets like a reasonable equipment, I'll be pretty happy with this card too, I think.
Yeah, I'll say like I don't know if this alone is enough to make Icelander quite get there, but this is a good tool for her. Is kind of how I feel about it. It's not like, oh, suddenly Icelander is playable, but I think like, do I think Icelander's Sage decks will play this? Probably is kind of how I feel.
Okay, that's fair. I guess the next question is Leaven's Sheath. This is the exact same card, but it is for Earth. Has Earth Bond. If an Earth card was pitched to play this, create an embodiment of Earth token.
I'm way lower on this card. Notably, like I guess if you're Icelander, you can play this card because it is elemental. You can like any elemental hero can play any of these cards, even if you can't do the Earth Bond. I guess you always can because you could pitch Colors of Aria, but that's kind of suspicious. It's like you're allowed to do it, but I don't think you should. I'm way lower on this card though. Yeah.
Okay, you know the one play pattern that you can't do with this is that like if you let's say you have let's say Frosthaven and Leaven Sheath both in your hand and Colors of Aria, like it doesn't actually. Oh, actually, never mind. Scrap that. Colors of Aria is a red pitch anyways.
Yeah, you can only play one of them. Yeah, exactly. If there was one in your pitch zone, it'd be like a little more interesting. Or if Colors of Aria was a blue, maybe you could consider playing all of these a bit more. But yeah, I'm pretty low on Leaven Sheath. I think that the 1 cost in the context of any hero that's not named Icelander gets a lot worse. And I don't think the embodiment of Earth is nearly as good as a Frostbite on your opponent's turn. I think like giving your opponent a Frostbite, especially when your arsenal might already give a frostbite. Like 2 frostbites on your opponent's turn is messed up. Like that is really good. Whereas like my 1 for 5 that lets me block 1 more is like, yes, it's above rate, but you have to be able to use the other resources and you have to be able to use the embodiment. And that's just like, it's just asking so much of you.
I think I know where this is going. What about Stormwind Sheath? This is the lightning version of this card, and it makes an embodiment of lightning token if a lightning card was pitched. Even worse?
So I think that an embodiment of lightning is probably a little more powerful than an embodiment of earth. That being said, Don't really know how the lightning heroes are going to use the other resources. Like hypothetically, you can do like staunch response with leave in sheath and like a Terra deck or something, or an Oldham deck, so that like kind of makes sense. But the lightning heroes, I have no idea like how you're going to make all this happen. So
It might be like an Acilio card, like you pitch a lightning card and you pitch like a red lightning card block with a sheath, make an embodiment of lightning, and then you arsenal, you play an amulet, and then you have like a 5 card hand that you just like boom your opponent for 20 in Sage. I don't know if Sage has cards capable of doing that, but yeah, it sounds kind of sweet if you can like set that like the off turn on turn Acilio deck going on with Stormwind Sheath. So maybe I don't know. I'm not a believer.
yeah, I'm not really a believer, but I will say that like 2 cards block 5 get a bankable action point is not the worst. Like I think leave and sheath has like a big problem in that like you need to like use the other resources and then use the embodiment of earth to like do more blocking somehow later. It's just like asks so much. Whereas like I think Stormwind Sheath being an embodiment of lightning that carries over to your turn, and if you don't attack on your turn, can even carry over to the next turn, is a lot more flexible. So do I think this card's great? Nah, but could it maybe see play? Maybe, but yeah, I'm not holding my breath on this one. I guess. Oh no, that doesn't work either. I was gonna say you could use Old Knocker, but then you don't get the embodiment.
Well, isn't Old Knocker not legal in Sage?
Is it not legal? Maybe that's true because I see everyone play Garland. Surely they play Old Knocker if you could play Old Knocker. Okay, okay,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Old Knocker is just straight up banned.
okay. Scratch that. Card's not good. Let's carry on.
All right, next card. It's a sweet card. It's called Comeback Kicks. It's a revered equipment legs. It blocks for 1. It says whenever the crowd cheers you, if you have less life than each other hero, you may destroy this. If you do, gain an action point, and has battle worn. That was a lot of words. What does it do?
This is really good. This is block 1, get an action point in Guardian. I think this is like CC Pleiades best in slot. Because yeah, block 1, get an action point is really, really strong. And this combos with Comeback Kid. That's like if you have less life when you attack, the crowd cheers you, it gets +1, so it comes in for 8. So you can do like basically with these boots, it makes Comeback Kid into a 3 for 8, get an action point, get a confidence token, and then you can follow up with like Anathos or another attack or something like that. I think this card's actually just like very, very good. It also works with Cries of Encore in CC, but not in Sage. So I think this will see play in Sage, and I think it will see play in CC.
I'm actually kind of happy that we talked about Pleiades twice in this episode already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then we'll talk about the last card. It'll be called Unyielding Grip. This is a generic equipment arms, and it's a rare. And it says if you have no cards in your hand, this gets +3 Blade Break.
So I don't think this is good enough in Sage. Sorry, in CC. I just like can't ever see this being good enough. You have like Stonewall Gauntlet, even at generic, which usually blocks 2. So we can pretty much just think about this in Sage.
Really? I actually thought this card might be good in CC.
Really?
Yeah, I can consider playing this card in someone like Arachne, where I just want to block out a bunch.
Sure. I guess in Arachne. I was thinking like the fatigue deck in CC is like Jarl, but I guess in Arachne I can see it. Okay.
Yeah, like if we don't have an arms equipment that blocks for 3, this is like a reasonable replacement. Because like Stonewall Gauntlet does block for 2, but it's not for every matchup. Whereas this card blocks for 3 in every matchup. So I could see this card being fringe playable in a very specific decks if the format asks for it.
Sure. Okay. I could see that.
Because right now I'm playing Flick Knives of all cards, and I don't even flick. Maybe I flick twice a game in Arachne.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe fringe playable in CC. What about in Sage? What do you think about this card?
It has to be good, right? Like there has to be bad arms equipments, so it has to be able to replace something. I'm not sure. I can't really think of a way to like break this card. Is my issue with this card? I think.
Yeah, I think you need to be able to. You need to be a deck that wants to block out, and then you need to want block 3 gloves. So like, okay, I'm pretty confident that we'll see a list on FabTCG that has topped an event that has this in it. But I'm not sure like how I think it'll probably be like fairly niche, and I'm not sure like how widespread the play of this card will be.
Yeah, because like this card is only good in decks that are willing to fold a full hand, right? Like they have to be able to block with all four cards in hand and also block with this. So like it needs to be a deck comfortable blocking for 15 and then drawing up a new hand and then going from there.
Yeah, yeah. And then you have to also not have a better gloves option, which I mean block 3 is pretty powerful in Sage. So I think that part is like a little bit easier in Sage, whereas like in CC, the Guardian just has gloves that block for 3, but in Sage it's like a little more interesting. So yeah, this will probably see play in Sage in a very blocky deck somewhere. Maybe the like super blocky Guardians. I don't know.
It has Blade Break, maybe.
Oh yeah, because you want the Clash of Gloves. The you play all the Clash cards. Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. This I think this card will see play in Sage. I think it might see some play in CC, but it's on the borderline of like at least you have to consider this card. And if you're gonna be playing the Blade Beckoner Gauntlets, you're gonna be considering Unyielding Rip.
Yeah, yeah. I think if you're a deck that wants to fold and it's a matchup where they can present a bunch of damage, you could play this over Blade Beckoners.
Oh, I guess do you want to talk about the Teklo Volson cards as well?
Yeah, yeah, we can do that. So we have Ghost Protocol Mainframe. This is a blue 3-block, 0-cost Mechanologist attack action that attacks for 1. If this was banished from boosting this turn, you may play this from your banish zone, so potentially a free card, always good. And then Evil Upgrade. This gets +1 power for each Evo you equipped. I don't know if Boost Teklovasan is good or not, but if Boost Teklovasan is good, you almost certainly play this card. I think blue 3-block, that can be a 0 for 5. Notably, the Evo upgrade just happens. Like, you don't have to play it from banish to get the Evo upgrade. So this can be a 0 for 5 from hand, is like just good. And it can be a free card if you boost it, which is crazy. You just like boost 5 damage into your bin. That's really, really strong. So yeah, it depends if the shell's there, but this card is just kind of like, it's just good, I think.
Yeah, no, this card's insane.
Yeah, like it's like a really strong card. I kind of can't like, it's hard to overstate how good the card is, but it's in Tekla Boston.
Like if you have any card in your deck that says the word boost on it, you can just play 3 copies of this card, and it's just a blue block 3 anyway, so there really isn't any downside to it.
Yeah, and even if you don't, it's like maybe in the conversation. Like, yeah, blue 0 for 5.
Yeah, honestly, so true. Then the next card is Ghost Protocol Architect. This is a little bit more interesting. This is a 1-pitch, so it's a red card. It costs 0, attacks for 1, blocks for 3, and it says if this card was banished from boosting this turn, you play it from your banish zone, and also the Evil Upgrade. When this attacks, search your deck for an Evo with cost less than or equal to the number of Evos you have equipped. Banish it, then shuffle. So this one is actually just like pseudo draw a card when you attack with it.
Yeah. It's pseudo draw a card. It draws an Evo into your banish, which is relevant because you can play it.
It finds the Evo you're missing.
I will say that spending your action, even though you get the card, spending your action point to attack for 1 is like, it's like a little tough. Like a red. Let me put it this way. Like when you're playing this from hand, if you attack for 1 and you draw a card, that's like an okay red card, but not incredible. It's solid. It's like decent. But when you play it from banish, it's actually quite good. So I think if you're like a boost deck, you probably want to play this. If you're not a boost deck, it's like a little less clear. But I think that this will probably help the boost deck like get its evos very quickly. Like maybe you get a 0-cost evo with this, and you can very quickly assemble all your evos and then play a singularity at some point. Is sort of what it feels like.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. There's like it's interesting. It's very interesting. Like there are like play patterns where like if you are some weird boost deck, there's like a chance you play cards like Evil Charging Rods, which is a 0-cost evil legs that it says once per turn instant can destroy it. Draw a card under this and create a quicken token. So like you don't have to play like the big blue Tekla Boston base legs. Like there are other legs you can play that has some utility, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, like as of now, I can't really think of I don't know. Like I can't really think of a reason to want to play this card. Like it'll be kind of interesting if you playing like Evo Speed Slip, which is a Evo legs that costs 0, and it says like when this is equipped, the next attack action card you play this turn gets boost. So like there are like mini synergies that are definitely unexplored at this point.
And these two cards, to me, kind of feel like they're giving like boost Teklo support. So who knows? Maybe if it's part of a larger package, it could make sense. I think like Ghost Protocol Mainframe is just like a card that I expect we'll see play in every Teklo deck. This one is a little more niche, but I mean, searching your deck for an Evo and banishing it is like a powerful effect, is the thing I'll say. But yeah, it being a red and only attacking for 1 is tough. I think if this is like a red attack for 3, it's like great. And if this is a blue, it's great. But yeah, the times when you draw this card, it's like that's the problem with this card. Whereas Ghost Protocol Mainframe is like either a blue that you can pitch or block for 3, or just like an above rate attack, which is like really really good. It's just like no downside for being in hand. Whereas the red is, yeah, it's a little trickier.
I did find the card that actually does work with it is the Evo. It's the yellow instant from Bright Lights, where you can play. If you equip it, you give the card go again. So I guess if you attack with it, you can immediately give it go again, and it's a 0 for 1 go again.
0 for 1 go again, equip an Evo. Okay. Yeah, I can see that being actually kind of okay.
Yeah, hyper aggro Teklo.
I mean, I think Teklo has this problem of like Singularity super good, but against a lot of decks, you can just never play Singularity because it's like just takes too long and is way too expensive. Whereas like if you have a way to like turbo that, yeah, maybe that's good. You apply some pressure, you get into a Singularity, and you're pretty good. I don't know. I'm not sold, but I'm at least interested to see what they're doing here. Let's say that.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, then do you want to still talk about the Slippy deck? This actually took a little bit longer than I anticipated. We're already about an hour into the episode, and we have like 5 new cards from the Slippy deck. Did you want to talk about it, or do you want to save it for maybe next week?
I think, I think there's stage cards to talk about. I think there are CC cards to talk about, and I think some cards are going to take a while to talk about.
Yes, I think there's like a lot of layers and a lot of different cards we have to talk about for these cards. So sure,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I think we will not talk about the Arachne Slip Through the Crack Armory deck this week. After Seattle, we'll talk about the Arachne cards on the episode coming back from Seattle. And before we close up the episode, one thing I do have to say is this Arachne Armory deck to me feels like a Sage Armory deck, because this deck literally made me want to play Arachne Marionette for Sage for Seattle. So that's the deck I'm bringing for Sage is Arachne Marionette, or I don't know what it's actually called in Webcrawler or something. What is a young Arachne called?
It's Web of Deceit.
Web of Deceit, that's what it's called. Yeah, so I'm gonna be playing Arachne Web of Deceit for Sage for the Seattle Battle Hardened if I'm playing that. So that's
Okay.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, very interesting. And it'll be curious to hear about how you did, if you end up playing it, and kind of where you landed and how you're using the cards. Yeah, I think I'm not so sure that Slippy is coming back. I think Marionette and CC gets a few upgrades. But yeah, we'll talk about all of that more next week. All right, let's wrap up the episode. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to get in touch with us, you can find us on social media. Jay is at UatedJ on Twitter, and I'm at YukiLeeBender, also on Twitter. You can also find me on Blue Sky with the same tag at YukiLeeBender. You can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/onthebobble, or you can email us at onthebobble@gmail.com. So those are all good ways to get in touch with us. And if you have any questions that you'd like answered on the podcast, please let us know through any of those avenues. Now, as we head into the holiday season and there's a bit of a downtime until Compendium, now is a great time for those like listener questions, and we'd love to do like a mailbag type episode. Last week was a great example of a listener question that kind of spawned a whole episode. So yeah, if there's something you're keen to ask us, please reach out. Probably good content for you, and nice for us to hear from you as well. But that's going to be a wrap, and good luck to you if you're playing Calling Seattle or Calling Hong Kong or practicing for any upcoming events. I have a very quick sign off.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So I was sort of following the Riftbound regional in Houston this weekend. I was like tuning in, and I was just like, oh, day 2. Like, I wonder what's going on. I was like getting ready to go to skirmish, and I thought I would check in. So I opened up the stream for day 2, and round 1 of day 2, which is like top 64. I'm like, oh, Diwali, that's Sean Dollywall, Fab player. He's like top PTs. I know this guy. He's my friend. I'm just like, oh, that's awesome. Sean's doing well. And I'm like sitting there just like watching his opponent's like this guy that has this cap on and has like his hoodie up. And I'm sitting there just like watching the game for a little bit. I only know like half the cards, maybe way less than half the cards. I know like the basic rules of the game. I played with the starter decks. That's it. And then the casters are just like, yeah, like these are the cards that Malik needs to draw to get out of this spot. And I'm like, wait, Malik, like that's such a familiar name. And then I look, I'm like, holy, that's Florin Christian Logan that he's playing against. So I just like tune into this Riftbound stream. That's day 2, and I'm just watching 2 Fab players play. Like, it's so funny.
You know, to continue on to that point, do you know who won the Riftbound event?
Yeah, Sean Dollywall.
Man,
shout out to Sean.
Legend, bro. Sean Dollywall is actually just a legend.
Yeah, that guy is really good at card games. He also plays Magic VTs. Sean is a monster. I heard, what I've heard is that Sean learned what his cards did the night before.
Oh, the Annie deck? Yeah, that's what I've heard too. He someone handed him the deck and then he learned it and then he just wins the event with it. Yeah, he's a monster.
Yeah, they're just like, here's what your deck does, here's how you play your cards, and he's like, okay, and then just goes and wins the event. And I think this is like winning a calling, essentially. I think first place was like 6K and a metal Annie card or something like this. It's a misfortune card. It's like a alt art misfortune.
No, so they do. Riftbound does the universes UFS thing, where if you're the highest performing player on a specific hero, you get like a prize card for that hero.
Yeah, yeah, and then there's also like a misfortune prize card.
That's for winning like the event. But
yeah,
because he was the best performing Annie player, he also gets like the Annie card.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's like a lot like winning a calling. So yeah, shout out to Sean. There's like quite a few Fab players there doing really well. So that was kind of fun to see.
Yeah. I tried to get into that event and they said it's booked. And I'm like, okay. I was like 2 days late. So, and when I mean 2 days late, it was 2 days from announcement that event came up. I was so mad I couldn't play. But honestly, now that it was now that it's done, I'm like kind of okay with it because like finding product and finding a deck would have been not a nightmare because I know people who have decks, but like finding product is impossible. So I'm it's like both a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah, Riftbound seems like an okay game. I could maybe see myself trying it. I want at least cards to be easier to get or events to be easier to get into. I think if like one of those happens, I could see myself maybe playing a bit of that game. But right now I'm like, there's so much work to get cards. They're really expensive and it's hard to get into an event to even play with those cards. And that was like the problem that I had with Gundam TCG. I guess like update, I'm not really playing Gundam because we had like all of set 1, Ellie and I, and the problem was you just couldn't get into events, and I'm just like, well, what is the point of having all of these cards? I can't even play like, I don't even think it's PQs. I think it's like a skirmish equivalent. I can't even like the new type challenges. Maybe it's PQ. I forget. Anyways, I couldn't even get into that like small like qualifier or like store special store level event, and it was just like, what is the point? So I don't really want to do that again with Riftbound. But yeah, I think if things get a little bit calmer, you can buy cards reasonably, can sign up for events, then maybe I'll play the game. I think I just don't like the game enough to like deal with the hassle.
Yeah, I think my main issue with like these events, like Houston, for example, which is like a plane ride away, is that when the event gets announced, I'm not a type of person that can just like pull the trigger and buy a ticket because I don't know if there's gonna be like another event that week, or I don't know if I can afford it. Um, like I can't actually just like travel to something like Houston and book a hotel just for myself. I'll need to ask other people to make sure people are going so I can like split a room with somebody. So like financially, like it's just like super responsible for me to like buy a ticket and then think about it later, right? So um but like it I feel like Riftbound is a game where I might have to do that just to even get into like a regionals, and that's not a promising start, at least for myself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a little tough. So I don't know. We'll see. Riftbound looks cool. If you've been enjoying the game, that's awesome. I don't know. The game looks fun. Everybody I know that plays it seems to like it. But yeah, very, very, very popular, which is like usually a good thing, but it's not always upside. I feel some like when it passes a certain point, it's not always upside.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Let's wrap it up here then.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Hey, good night. Thank you. Bye bye.